Okay, let's get started here. Thank you so much for joining me here Monday morning. Time to get our week started. Let me just check my audio, make sure that I'm doing good there. And it looks as if I have done my audio correctly. How's that? So, Monday morning, beginning of the week. How was your weekend? You know what? I actually work through the weekends. I usually try to take Sunday off, but once in a while I do have to do a little bit more, and so I did. I spent the day yesterday here in the office. Tried to go to bed early anyway, so I get a real fresh start for the week. So Monday morning, what is your plans today? You doing business development? Are you nurturing your business enough to where you have a plan this week for what it is that you want to accomplish by Friday? That's a big question. What's your strategy for this week? Have you just sat down at your computer and just kind of looked at the work in front of you and decided maybe you're going to do one thing or another or try something? Are you planned out? What do you think you're going to be doing by the time we get to Friday? Okay, this is an important idea and an important thought. We're going to talk a little bit about a subject today that has a little bit to do with certain aspects of being very capable and very conditioned, right? And able to do things in a much more successful fashion by doing it as such, okay? So, prospectively, if I was conditioned to think about my week this morning with strategic planning at the forefront, I would simply begin doing that the minute I sat down at my desk. Maybe an hour into my day here on a Monday, I'd know exactly what I plan to have done by Friday. Okay, so take a notebook, get a pen, write down a few ideas from what we're going to be talking about today, and get ready to do something special here this week. Let's get ready to do something that gets us in the mode to be conditioned. Okay, what does that mean? It's such simple terminology. A lot of times it's the simplest things that have the most powerful impact, right? Like decision. That's another thing that has a very powerful impact, right? Learning how to use the power of decision and what that really means in your life. So let's talk about conditioning. Okay, so what does it mean exactly to be conditioned? Well, what it is over the period of time, if you do something in repetition over and over and over long enough, eventually you become very conditioned at the things that you're trying to accomplish. Okay? So, what does that mean exactly, and how do we use it, and where do we use it? Well, conditioning happens in every aspect of our lives. We want to look at that as one of those omnipresent principles. Okay, it's not something where you just condition your body or condition your work ethics. Okay, it is an act of your very existence to continuously and constantly condition. Okay, it is more vital and more, let's just say, primal to a degree than you even realize. Okay, you conditioned yourself until you could walk. You conditioned yourself until you could speak. You conditioned yourself until you understood the alphabet and you could read. You conditioned yourself to learn math. You conditioned yourself to get along with other people. Okay, the unfortunate thing is you also conditioned yourself to go to Starbucks every morning. Okay, you also conditioned yourself to not wake up on time. You also conditioned yourself to sit there confused instead of having a strategic plan. Okay, the beginning of those points of conditioning is decision. We made a decision to learn or to be something, and then therefore we began the conditioning to accomplish those things. What's terrible about being an adult sometimes is for whatever reason we stop the point of conditioning so early on, maybe halfway through high school, maybe halfway through college, maybe just after college. I was reading it right now. I'm reading Awaken the Giant Within, right? Tony Robbins talks about how most people who buy a book don't read it. 10% only actually finish the book. That was kind of shocking to me. I go through 100 books a year. So the reality is you have to condition yourself to do things that you desire to do, even if you have the desire for them, to read a book, to have a good strategy for the week, to make the things that you're doing and trying to accomplish productive. You still have to condition yourself in order to actually make those things substantial, actual, and really work in the way that they should. Okay, well, a lot of us might feel that we don't have the skills to do it. We were born with these skills. Okay, if you speak a language, you were conditioned to learn a tremendous amount about how you use it. If you sat and wrote down all the words that you know from whichever language you know or understand at this point, okay, my wife, being as blessed as she is, knows 3 languages. Okay, I know English and software language. I do like to sometimes call that a language, right? The reality is everything can be learned. Everything can be conditioned at any time. Your ability to speak, your ability to have confidence, your self-esteem, those things can be conditioned. When you look at something and say, I am not that thing, the reality is when you were really tiny and you said your first 3 words, you probably wanted to say 15, 20, 30, 40 others that you just kind of babbled and didn't make any sense with. But what did you do? Even when you were that small, you kept trying. Okay? I don't want to say a baby does, because you were once a baby. It was you, me. When I was a very, very small child, I had the will to learn to walk, the will to learn to speak. Again, look at how eloquent language is. So we get into this adult perspective and we suddenly look at these things as being such a difficulty. How difficult can it really be when it's something that we really did basically learn when we were that young, when we were that small? Why do we think it's so difficult now? What have we done to ourselves? When did we decide that conditioning was difficult? Well, it wasn't when we were 2 or 3. It was exciting and we were celebrating. Learning was fun. Understanding and recognizing new things was a joy. What happened to that? Let's bring it back. Okay, so let's talk about a few things here. Anything can be conditioned. Absolutely anything. If you want to be something, or you want to be like someone, or you want to make more money like someone else, you simply have to condition yourself to do it. Don't convince yourself that it's any more difficult than that, because it is not more difficult than that. You simply must make a decision and then condition yourself within that decision. Okay? Reading again in Tony's book, decision in Latin basically means cut off from. So if you make a decision, you're going to cut yourself off from all of the things that are against or opposed or opposite or a distraction to that decision. Okay, as he says in one of his lectures, if you're going to take the island, you have to burn the boats. You have to make a real decision. Once you do, it's only a matter of conditioning. Every single thing you want, all of the things that you need in your life, everything that's going to make a big difference comes down to simple, straightforward, easy to at least get started points of action. Anything can be conditioned. You can condition your body. You can condition your language. You can condition your resolve. Okay, again, in the book I'm reading right now, he talks about decision. Okay, and how everything in life is based on the power of decision. But that is from the perspective of being able to cut off those things that are opposed to that decision and stay with that decision and condition. And that if you want to get good at making decisions, you have to make more of them. The more decisions you make, the more confident you will become that you can make better decisions. And as you make those better decisions and you go through scoring whether those decisions were beneficial or if you need to make some alterations in order to make them more beneficial to your life, that you begin to condition yourself towards the success of accomplishing the things that you want because you took the time to make those decisions matter. Okay, so remember, it's just a simple rule. We got something really simple here this Monday, something to get you going. So I asked at the beginning of this, how many of you know what you're trying to accomplish by the end of the week? Write down your strategy for these accomplishments this week. Okay? Don't make it a goal sometime in the future. I want someday to be this. Say, by Friday, I will have accomplished put a big underline and write it down. Calling 50 people, recruiting 5 new people to my business, going out to this X network event on Thursday fully prepared. What are you going to do between now and the end of the week? Take 10, 15 minutes and just write it down. Because if not, you're not operating with a compass. And we've talked in the past about core desires and how your heart is a compass. Feel your way through it a little bit and decide what you're going to do this week. Okay? Take action. Once those decisions are there, start conditioning. Okay? Again, another thing, and I think we've mentioned this before. Tony talks about Larry Bird. I did actually talk about this last time. And how he throws the basketball. And that he's done it so many times so well that somewhere within his brain he has been fully conditioned neurologically to basically never miss. If you condition yourselves to do the same thing and you know it's something that will help you become successful, you will eventually be successful. Period. What's difficult about that? Let's talk about it. If you want a great body, you want to go to the gym, what happens after your first 2 days? Man, you feel like you've been torn to shreds. You feel like you've been beat up. You've been hurt, right? You feel like things are just going to completely come to pieces. If your bedroom's upstairs and your kitchen's downstairs, just getting to your kitchen after your first leg day seems pretty impossible. I've been there a few times, actually. It can be difficult to start the conditioning process, but have no fear. You get it. You understand it. You've been doing it your whole life. At all times, you've been conditioning yourself towards the things that you need to accomplish. That has never been difficult for you. Do you speak a language? Do you walk? Do you drive a car? How many other things can you add to that pile of things that were conditioned into your personality, your perspective? Good and bad. What have you conditioned yourself to believe? What have you conditioned yourself to take action on? Okay, because you condition yourself to take action one way or the other. There's no such thing as inaction. Okay, we could call it inertia. Okay, there's definitely inertia. There's the weight of the universe pushing you down from your perspective that it's happening, as opposed to using that to refine yourself. But the reality is, we're constantly conditioning ourselves towards action. That's what it means to be alive. Okay, but are we really living? Well, the only way to do that is to make decisions and then start the process of conditioning. Repeat the same things, make slight alterations to make sure that you're pointing straight with that compass, and repeat until you've got it down. Okay, any of you that do yoga, or if you work out, or if you're into martial arts, or you're a boxing guy, or you're playing tennis, or any of these things in sports, take concentrated conditioning and thought. And that the more you keep focused on conditioning and becoming better repetitiously at specific things, doing them over and over and getting better and better and rising higher and higher, that you simply have a different experience as you move forward. So here's the secret. Here's what's fun. Let's talk about what's fun. You might think in some ways that this conditioning seems like it's boring, or that it's repetitious, all right? Because I believe the same thing Tony says, and that's that we got to have some kind of surprise in our lives, right? We got to have some kind of uncertainty. Too much certainty can draw us into a bad pattern, right? It's just a mnemonic pattern. But here's what's incredible about conditioning. Okay, I want you to look at it a little bit more like watering a garden. Okay, if you've planted a whole lot of seeds in that garden and then you don't water it, what happens? Maybe you have one little thing poke its head up through the soil and the sun kills it. Nothing. But if you water it consistently, constantly, on time, when you should, don't overwater it, right? You end up with a beautiful, amazing experience. It's beautiful to look at. It feeds you and your family. It was good for the soil. When you condition yourself to do the things that you should do in your life, it's like watering that garden of the self. And you will bloom. And life will be much more beautiful when it does. But you still have to toil in the garden, plant the seeds, water it every day. When exactly will it bloom? Well, that's the fun part. You really don't know. But if you believe the garden will grow because you have faith in the seeds that you planted, you go out there and you water it every single day anyways. Or try to get a calendar that doesn't take over on your mindsets. How's that? Anyways, so that's the one thing that you really want to do is focus your time on becoming conditioned, because it's just like watering that garden. The surprises, the uncertainty principle that we need in our lives comes because of our conditioning. Amazing relationships, incredible client relationships, incredible distributor relationships, new learning, new ideas, new belief in yourself, new self-esteem, new self-confidence, new opportunities. All of these things that we want, these principles of incredible opportunity that simply, remember, I've talked about this in other mindsets actually, they just come around the curve, right? Because life isn't a straight line, it's a curve. We're in an orbit. Again, if you'll remember, my principle from that perspective is if all laws are natural and the very makeup of our system is a quadrillion atoms that are spinning around each other, and we're standing on a planet spinning around a sun that's spinning around the center of a galaxy, why would we ever think that anything that we experience is any different than what has been proven to be the very minuscule aspect of our being, all the way through to the grander aspects of the things that we participate in the universe? Everything is in cyclic curves, orbits, right? So if you plant the right seeds and water that garden, the surprises, the incredible amazement of being the kind of person that's conditioned, their mind, their body, their perspective, the resolve will give you some of the most incredible experiences you could ever imagine would come into your life. If you believe in blessings, it would be massive amounts of blessings. If you believe in karma, it would be beautiful, amazing amounts of good karma, whatever you want to call it. Those flowers of life, though that food in the garden that you consume, it's all from being conditioned and through what we think might be repetition, but that repetition leads to the beauty of life. And it's important that you understand that principle so that when you're sitting, let's say, at your computer to prospect for those 4 hours and frustrated, nobody's talking to you, you're not getting information out the way you thought you would, people aren't responding back as fast as you hoped they would, this person didn't buy it although you thought they would, you jumped on to do a new recruit call and you fumbled around and that person never called you back. You had 15 people in your downline last week. Today, only 2 of them seem serious. You can sit out there by your garden and stare at it all you want and wonder if the seeds are going to be barren and worry that they're not going to grow. The only way you're going to get them to grow is what? You have to water them, no matter what you're experiencing, and you have to be patient. Okay? Have you guys ever walked out into a garden, thrown a little bit of water on it, and all of a sudden you walked out with an armful of corn? Probably not. You have to be patient, but you have to have faith. You have to have belief. You have to have absolute certainty that the conditioning you put yourself through will get you where you want to go with the things that matter to you in your life. Make the decision to stay in that perspective. Okay, and one of the things I wanted to end here with today is the second one where I said you can condition your language. I haven't even gotten to this section in the book yet, but I flip around a lot when I get excited about reading something, and I read something about how words themselves carry power. And I believe that. They represent an idea. For example, even the word power, happiness, cruelty, sadness, disparaging, emptiness, fulfillment. I could keep naming words that have a tremendous amount of power in them. Here's what I want you to do today. Conditioning needs to happen in every point of your life, and you naturally have the ability to do it. Hopefully, you'll even re-listen to this mindset because this is an important one. But what I want you to do today is I want you to think about all the words you use often enough, and I'm going to do this too, that are negative, discouraging. Now, don't sit there and think about everything you say. Carry a notebook with you today. When you think of a word, write it down. And then you need to figure out how to reverse the power of that word. Let me give you a sentence. Nobody's joining my business. How about this? I've planted a lot of seeds today, and I'm excited to see who's going to join my business. Everyone quit. There's nobody operating with me anymore. Everyone left. How about, I certainly learned a lot from the experiences I've had with some people that I felt were pretty close to me in my business. I'm excited about being able to present things a little bit more clear, a little bit more refined. Write down the words and the phrases that you're using in your head to other people and figure out how to say the same thing, accomplish the same thought, but turn it into something actionable. Another thing I heard Tony say is anything you're given, use it. It doesn't matter what happens, who says it, whatever it is, use it. Use it to your advantage. Whether it's negative, positive, doesn't matter what it is. Start looking at everything that happens to you as an opportunity to take action on your next step moving forward, because you have to keep moving forward and you must condition yourself consistently to keep yourself in a position of moving forward at all times. Okay? Again, write these things down. We're going to be talking a little bit about conditioning and how to really bring that into your life this week. I think it's an important subject, so I hope to see you guys all on here. And we will be back tomorrow morning. Thank you so much. Let's have a powerful week. Let's get your mindset. Let's make some money.